Hi, I'm Ryan from Amberell. I've made videos about VCV RACK before, but as I get more into modular synthesis and sound design, I find myself using it more and more, and also finding it more and more useful. I want to go into some of the reasons why, if you aren't using VCV RACK already, you should be, and also some pretty interesting uses for it. I've timestamped the video, so feel free to jump around to whatever section you want. This summer, I've been teaching my oldest son how my studio runs, how to use the patch bay, set up a Logic session, all that fun stuff. He's getting into synthesizers, and one day I thought I'd show him VCV RACK. It wasn't until then that I realized what an amazing tool it really is. Not just for making cool sounds, but for teaching the basic concepts of synthesis. It really makes you have to understand what's happening in a synth voice to make a sound. Now, once he got the basics, he could add things like sequencers and quantizers, reverb modules, delay, using LFOs to modulate different aspects of the sound, but doing it with the understanding of how it actually worked. If you can do that in VCV RACK, you can take that knowledge with you not just to other hardware modular setups, but to other hardware synths, to software synths, and just use them more efficiently, and have a better understanding of how to make specific sounds. And for learning about VCV RACK, there are some great YouTube videos by Omri Cohen, Jeremy at Red Means Recording, Belle Reid, and some others that can really help you get started. I'll link all those in the description below. I like hardware, and no matter how useful something is, it's just more fun to physically twist knobs, plug in cables, and have that tactile experience. That being said, the biggest problem with Eurorack is the cost. VCV RACK solves that because it's a really awesome way to test out modules. Sometimes an exact copy of a hardware module, but other times a pretty close version. You can kind of test out to see if it's something that you want to sink your money into. I know that there is always secondhand market and you can buy it and try it and sell it, but the thing that doesn't take into account is time. If I drop $250 on a module and I don't like it, even if I can get what I paid for it back, it takes time to list, time to sell it, time to pack it, time to ship it, and I'm not a fan of all of that. I'd much rather know what it is that I actually want and go get that thing. Some companies like Instro make virtual versions of their hardware synths. The Beautiful Instruments line has emulations in VCV RACK, just to name a couple, but there are thousands, literally thousands of modules in the VCV library. If you're looking in the real world for something, I bet you can find something really close to it in VCV RACK and try it out. You can get a sense of whether or not you like it before you actually go through all the trouble and hassle of buying it and not liking it, selling it, and all the things. This might be my favorite use case so far. There are a couple of hardware modules you can get to run a hybrid setup. Expert Sleepers makes the ES9 and the Distinct. This sort of could be in the last section of trying it before you buy it, but because some modules don't exist in the real world, I thought this should be in its own section. By using certain modules, and I'm using the Expert Sleepers Distinct Mark IV, you can bridge your hardware setup with VCV RACK. Expert Sleepers makes a few modules in VCV that let you do this. Meaning, if I want to add a Turing machine to my setup, I can just pull it up in VCV RACK and use my Distinct to kind of bridge the two worlds together. So now I can sequence my hardware oscillators with VCV RACK. A few months ago, I made a video about all this stuff and made the comment of how it would be awesome if someone could make a hardware module that just ran VCV RACK. What I think would be really great is a module that's basically like a virtual shell that you could put a VCV module in it. Basically just like a screen with a bunch of different IO points. Anyway, someone in the comments pointed me to 4MS who were actually working on that exact thing. They made it, and it's not going to be all the modules, but it's a bunch. And over time, more will be added. It's pretty exciting. And while it's like $650, and that's pretty steep of a price for a module, it's more like getting dozens of modules, so I bet it will be well worth it, and I'm really excited to try it out. If you want to get into VCV RACK, I've linked their site down below. I've also linked to the channels of Omri Cohen and some others whose videos are super helpful and really great. If you want me to go into anything more specific with VCV RACK, let me know down in the comments. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.